Topical questions. We start with question number 1 from Jamie Greene.
To ask the Scottish Government what assistance it will provide to workers in Scotland who might lose their jobs as a result of RBS moving hundreds of jobs to India.
Cabinet Secretary Keith Brown.
President Officer, I want to start by saying how very concerned I am by this news from RBS and, of course, the impact it will have on staff. And I'm also extremely disappointed and perturbed by the total lack of action to stop this by the UK Government, who are the majority shareholder in RBS. As soon as I heard the news, I asked my officials to speak to RBS to clarify the position and its likely impact in Scotland. We've been informed that RBS will do everything it can to support those affected, and we will look to see positive action being taken, including redeployment into new roles where that's possible. It is very unhelpful that the UK Government appears to be allowing these job losses to take place and work to be transferred out with the UK purely to save costs, without any consideration of the financial impact on employees and their families. The Scottish Government will do everything we can to provide support and help to those affected in Scotland by job losses through the Finance Sector Jobs Task Force and, if required, our initiative for responding to redundancy situations, the Partnership Action for Continuing Employment, PACE.
Jamie Greene.
I thank the Cabinet Secretary, at least for some of that response. I think it is also important to note the context of these losses. Of the total jobs being relocated to India, 59 of them will be lost in Scotland. Given that RBS employ over 10,500 people in Scotland and is quite a substantial Scottish employer, and given that it is a publicly owned bank and has a mandate to reduce its operating costs, can I ask the Cabinet Secretary what contact this Scottish Government has had with RBS concerning its restructuring to help this bank minimise any redundancies that it's had to make, whilst at the same time helping it meet its streamlining objectives?
Cabinet Secretary.
We have had, I would say, in response to the member's question, very good discussions. In fact, it's been the feature of these that we have regular meetings through different forums in terms of the financial sector in Scotland, but we've also had specific contact with RBS, who've been very good at advising us in advance of major developments. And of course, in RBS, there are some very substantial developments in relation to what they went through during the recession. However, there was no contact made in relation to this development, which I think is very unfortunate. But just to say to the member that this is a majority-owned bank, majority ownership with the UK Government. And we were told, of course, that we had to, in 2014, vote no to save these jobs. That was the cry from the Tory party. And I think I would expect to see, certainly elsewhere, Tory members of Parliament raising this issue with the people that have the big decision to make here, the UK Government. And it may well be the case that apart from arguing against Scotland's interest in not getting its fair share in terms of the deal with the DUP, not speaking up at all for Scotland. And now we have a situation where I expect we will see no representations from Tory MPs to the UK Government, who have a major responsibility here. So it's not so much we have a baker's dozen down at Westminster, we have a bulker's dozen, where they do not stand up for Scotland. And perhaps if they did that, more than having a go at the Scottish Government, we could have saved these jobs.
Jamie Greene.
Presiding Officer, it's rather unfortunate the Cabinet Secretary has chosen to politicise this very, very important question about jobs in Scotland and what this government is doing to help people being made redundant. Still no answer to the question. Still no answer to the question. What is this government doing to help people who have been made redundant? Absolutely nothing. Moreover, this is not the first time that a large company has offshored back office functions to India and other places like that. This is an ever-growing global workplace, and the virtual services market is becoming increasingly international. So, therefore, what is this Scottish Government doing to ensure that our Scottish workforce is adequately skilled to meet the demands of a changing marketplace?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, of course, if you care to check the official report, you'll see who the first was to politicise this issue, and that was Jamie Greene. But also, if you check the official report, you just said that I did not answer what we intend to do. It's here in my first response. We will provide support to those affected in Scotland by job losses through the Finance Sector Jobs Task Force and, if required, through the Partnership for Action for Continuing Employment. I said that in my first response. And I have to say that these responses, in particular PACE, have been extremely effective in making sure that those that lose their jobs in these circumstances can be redeployed or find new continuing employment. That's the purpose of them. So I have responded now twice to Jamie Greene on what the Scottish Government will do. It would be good if we had some clarity as to what the Tories will do, whether they'll raise this in Westminster or sit there meekly and accept the fate for what Jamie Greene rightly says is 59 individual employees and their families. Is it not about time the Tories start to speak up for people like that?